Welcome everyone to the Stone Mills Township Council meeting of March, whatever this is, 2023. Councillor Lalande is on vacation. So I'll call the meeting to order. I guess we're going to do the 3-minute delegation before the approval of the agenda. Is that the correct order of business, Brian? So we have a 3-minute delegation from the group that's concerned about the possibility of a battery electric storage facility being applied for in the township. And the spokesperson is, what's the name, Brian? Michael Lettner. Michael? Yes, please come to the table. If you press the silver button, the mic will come on.
All right.
And
brought some copies.
Sure. Just send them around. Yeah.
There we go. Fantastic. Well, first off, I want to say thank you very much, Deputy Reeve, councillors, for allowing us to come out today. It's been a bit of a struggle to get ourselves into a position where we could come forth to you, so I really can't tell you how much we're glad to be here and just to be able to have some discussions about this whole thing. So we want to introduce ourselves first. So we are residents of the Stone Mills area. Stone Mills, certainly Township, primarily Miller Road. The people that are here are all residents on Miller Road, and they all have a farm or some kind of a livestock, or certainly are generating to the community with. So where our challenge lies is that we received some information. We had received it very haphazardly. And that information was that there was going to be a battery and BESS, if you will, installed right around the corner from our adjacent properties. It's Blue Earth, as we all know the name Blue Earth, and they've come in with a very haphazard way of giving us our document, any kind of information on it. They looked for community meetings. It seemed like they were reaching out to only a select amount of people. Excuse me. And with that, it was becoming concerning to the group that they were coming into us, and we understood council had never been approached. I don't know whether that's the case or not, but with our feeling is that the appropriate way to manage this communication would be first to voice it to council, and then possibly go out to talk to the citizens once council has at least said, yeah, okay, that's good. So we have a bit of a challenge with that. And with that, the informality of all of the submission of that. And while Jason did put a great letter out to the IECO, and it ended up coming back with a very cyclical response. I don't know if you guys had a chance to take a look at that. And that response, while it certainly did answer the question to a degree, it's put us into a bit of a tailspin, because you're going through hundreds and hundreds of documents to try and find a simple answer. And I think that creates some concern out of the gate. With that, we want to make sure that we have on record, though, that Jason had indicated at one point that there was community meetings had been held. They have not. To our way of thinking, there's been no formality. We haven't been approached in a professional manner on it. And the other part of it is you guys aren't on board. Or you haven't received a proposal. Nothing, I understand, has been put in front of you. So to council's eyes, this, for all intent and purpose, doesn't exist. And again, I want to thank you for allowing us to come in and communicate with you on this, because I understand the formality of requiring a project to have been submitted and declared an issue prior to your constituents coming in. So the other one is, we try to understand why it is that with the very stringent process that's laid out for these types of RFPs and these projects, we'd like to understand why it is that it is taking such an informality. if you will, right? This is a big project in our eyes. It may not be a large project to them, but it is a project that we're all concerned about, and we would like to see just the formality of the submission so that we truly understand. My understanding has been a multitude of submissions have been kind of tossed around, different ideas, different size. Some say 200 containers, some say 400, some say 4 containers. So it's really quite a fluid project at this point. But regardless of which, we do know that it's lithium-ion technology, and we understand that there's sea containers, and we understand what they're wanting to hook into in that location. So I think the biggest part of this is the fact that we need to understand how the process would be for this to come about. If Blue Earth is to come to you, we don't quite understand how, when they submit to you, how that will come back, and so that we could be a part of the process and work with all stakeholders to be a proactive partner in this. We understand the good, we understand the bad. We just want to understand better the whole project in its entirety. With respect to the lines of communication, we've received a number of comments back from Blue Earth. At February the 12th, they had a bit of a video call with us. They seem to be very fragmented in their messaging. Their narratives were kind of off base. So to that, again, we just want to let people know that there has been some communication come on. It's been very confusing to our group, and we are very concerned about that being located in the area. I don't believe it's a question of not in our backyard either, and that is definitely a situation that people will think about in this. I think the lithium-ion technology is a confusing technology currently. It is very, very new, and when you start reading about it, it can get fairly scary. So I'm sure that there's many, many bright minds and engineers that can work through these problems and work through some of the challenges. But the primary concern with us is that if this is to go in, we'd like to know what it is, and we'd like to understand that we have councils working with us so that we can discuss this, right? We don't want to end up with, oh, well, this got passed and here it goes. So we'd like to be able to have a voice. And I think you're offering that to us, and it's greatly appreciated. So further to that, we're looking at understanding exactly how the municipal and the provincial governments, who has the final say, and whether they can be overridden by municipal, whether they can be overridden by provincial. So to that end, that's a question that we have. We're hoping that we might be able to, not tonight, but just that's something that's in the back of our minds that we'd like everybody to think about and see whether or not we truly do have a stake in this game. If this is if they complete with a provincial mandate that's already come through on it, then so be it. But we'd like to know that to truly understand how this is to take place. So I think with that, we also were wondering exactly how to manage through the process, but I think your staff has been actually very good with us on getting a delegation in, because we do want to come in and we do want to be a part of it, and we don't want to be disruptive, and we have no intentions of turning it into a witch hunt or anything of this nature. We want to keep it professional. We want to keep it very very calm, cool, and collected throughout the whole process. But we would just like to be included within that process. So with that.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Michael. Just a couple of things before I open it up to council. I'm sorry that Jason's letter and the response caused some alarm. That was my fault, because with the information that we had been getting up to a couple of weeks ago, it still wasn't clear to me whether the township actually had, I don't know about a veto, but had a very strong say in whether the project was approved or not.
Right.
So I simply asked Jason to get in touch with the IESO and find out. Hence the letter that comes later in the agenda and seems to say in bureaucratic language fairly clearly that yes, the township's approval would be crucial in getting this hypothetical project approved.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry if that caused confusion. I should have made that a request in a public meeting it was just sort of an afterthought. I said, Jason, find out from the ISO, is this something we have any control over?
And that was great. We appreciate it. You no need to apologize. What you did was fantastic. And we certainly appreciated that kind of support. And yeah, you're right. It did cause a bit of a kerfuffle, but we worked through those.
Yeah.
And that's just, we need to make sure. And I think the worry is that if a document comes out whereby the consortium, if you will, I'll call them Project Co, Blue Earth, whomever it is, whether it's Abundant Energy or whatever, Project Co, if they see that a community meeting has been acknowledged to, they may decide that, oh, we've checked that box, and then they'll go right into ASECO, and here we go, we've done all of our due diligence. So that was the concern on that, and I don't think it was, we really appreciated it, to be honest with you. It was a fantastic letter. I didn't care for the response. I felt the response was a little bit too coagulated to, and you didn't deserve that. It could have been a far lesser response and more to the point from them, but how they choose to communicate is there.
It's a bureaucracy.
Amen.
Yeah. Council, any comments or questions? And I would just caution, we aren't going to debate this at great length tonight because this is still a hypothetical. So I don't want to get into the weeds here about what if this, what if that. So with that in mind, anyone, go ahead, Doug.
John just set that up very well. It's hard to comment on something that you don't know what it is.
No.
And you're making a huge mistake if you run out in the public and start talking to people and saying, oh, this is what's going to happen, when you don't know what's going to happen, because sooner or later you're going to get called a liar because it didn't happen that way.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
So, but just a quick background, and it is confusing. And there are people in the community, there's people in the audience tonight that have went through this, okay, that have been confused by predecessor, Blue Earth, okay? But the original Green Energy Act, we didn't have any say in it.
Yeah.
Okay, it was mandated, and it was too bad, council, if you don't like it, that's the way it's gonna be.
Mm.
You know, it was changed a few years ago, and we now we're not the be all end all, as I understand it, but we have a high ranking, and when we say no, it pretty well kills it, you know. It does it a lot of harm, let's put it that way, because they're on a point system.
Yep.
And there's a lot of points for that.
The
So,
scoring, yeah.
but we need information, because from what we hear, it's very confusing, because as it is to use, because we keep hearing, well, they're talking to the ratepayers, they're doing this and they're doing that, and they haven't come talk to us, you know. And then we hear back, well, yeah, somebody's saying that you had a meeting with them. Well, we never had a meeting with them, you know. So it's been confusing, and I understand how it can be confusing to people. And we just ask people, we won't run away from you, okay? When they
Perfect.
come to us, we'll be here to work with you.
And that's, I think that in its own brings an awful lot to the table, to be honest with you. There has been a multitude of versions, and at the very least, whatever comes in now should be without prejudice, so that all others are thrown away. My understanding of what has been thrown in the ring with Abundant Energy was a shadow of what this new project actually is. Yeah, you know, and so with that, you know, and dressing it up with solar, that's great. I mean, it really does put a nice spin on it. It's a good green, you know, if you can get anything green these days, everybody is going to buy into it. I'm an electrician by trade, master electrician, and I can tell you that this has got nothing to do with solar. This is all about providing a clean, steady source of supply, not only for Quebec and the American, right? So there's it up as well. And excuse me, Reeve, but you used the phrase greenwashing. Is that what's the phrase, the catchphrase?
Greenwashing is trying to make something look greener than it is.
Amen.
Basically.
Yeah. And dressing it up with a solar and dressing it up with a wind farm. First and foremost, this is an asset. Let's not kid ourselves. It's a consortium-based asset, and that asset can be sold at any point in time down the road. So we need to make sure that if it is going to happen, just protect ourselves. We protect the community, we protect the constituents, we protect the land, right? And so with that, we want to make sure that, you know, if this is going to be treated as an asset, we want to make sure that, and I think you are all the same, we're all on the same line here. We just need to make sure that it's got enough belts and suspenders to keep it controlled, and that any of our requirements, ours being Stone Mills requirements do not get diminished as this asset either goes down in life cycle or changes in its facility index or whatever, right? Because that's what happens when new owners take over. They don't always life cycle as they should. They come up with a different budget. Everybody looks to save money in different areas. And this is some pretty gnarly technology to be even trying to pull that off with, right? So, anybody else?
Anyone else? Yes, Wendy.
It's more a comment. I had the privilege of sitting in on a meeting with these individuals yesterday. So, and one of the concerns is the community engagement part. So maybe when we're looking at the letter, we might be able to make a motion that just to get into our minutes, that there was no community engagement up to this date. It was just individual.
Very informal.
Yes, very informal. And they kind of said that on their website. I went in and checked their website out, and they said they were going to opt out of the community engagements and just do more informal engagements one-on-one with people. So that's something we might want to keep in mind if they come forward. So it was just
That can be a tactic too. So we should all be very, very cognizant of the fact that there's tactics involved here, right?
Chrissy Lee.
I want to say thank you for coming here tonight. And yeah, we've mostly heard about this through residents because nothing has come before us. And I just want to, on that tactic, I think it is, when I first heard that they're going one-on-one, that is a big red flag because we've seen projects like that happen and they tear communities apart rather than letting us have a community conversation in which you get to hear multiple opinions, whether they're positive or negative. But once you start going one-on-one, it's meant to kind of disarm a community conversation. And so that is just a red flag for me. So.
And that's exactly what is the ploy. I fortunately or unfortunately, I sat on their side of the table for a number of years in my life. And I know what the strategies are to try and do things, to get things approved in communities and what have you. And you're 100% correct. Fragmented. Get it fragmented, get it so that it's thrown away. You don't need to worry about that anymore. Okay, now let's get down to the money and sense of it. And we'll go from here with the council. I want to make sure you guys know we can be a resource. If there's anything that you believe that needs some fact finding, or if you need some stats, need some understanding, we would love to help you. This group is a very highly educated group. Everybody has their specialties, and we all contribute as best and as much as we can. I know we were laughing about it. I've never spent much time reading about geotechnical properties of the Stone Hills area or aquifers and all this that I did last night, but I think I got a pretty good handle on where it sits based on some of our water reports from Dillon in 2001. So we want to work together. We do not want, that is not the intention of this group whatsoever. Our intention is to be a resource and to work with council and discuss this as professionals. So.
Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.
Jason, have we had any indication from Blue Earth if and when they might actually make a presentation to council?
Yeah, 3 revised. The latest update that we have at staff's level is April 3rd, 2023 is the target date in which they're proposing to be here in the form of a delegation. So 2 weeks out, the next council meeting. That being said, as you know, we receive our information 3 days before publishing on a Friday. So I won't know with confidence until I have that. And I don't have anything yet. But that's the best information or the most known that I have at this time.
Will it be a 15-minute, may I ask a question? Will it be a 15-minute or a 3-minute for them?
It'll be a 15-minute. If you apply to be a delegation by Wednesday previous to the council meeting, you get the 15-minute. The 3-minute is kind of a last-minute thing.
Do I get a half an hour if I apply on the Monday before?
You're pushing it.
Well, and are we okay to sit in non-disruptively?
It'll be a public meeting, assuming they come as they've indicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we just want to, we're not going to be we're not going to cause any disruptions or any of that. We would like to understand where this is going and what the intention is, right?
when I say public, it will be an open to the public meeting, won't be an input from the public meeting.
Yeah,
It'll
no.
be Bloor's presentation with questions from council. If you have things that you want council to ask,
Okay.
that you think maybe council might not have thought of, by all means, provide your questions to any of us
Okay.
previous to that event. And I would suggest to staff that we have some kind of formal communication arrangement with the residents group. So they will know as soon as we do once Blue Earth applies. Yeah, it'll be on the agenda, but just as a courtesy, I think this is a very sensitive community issue. And we want to make sure that you are up to speed as soon as possible on any issue in connection with this. I did have something I wanted to ask, and I should have written it down here. Oh, yes. In terms of researching, I would like to know, and possibly staff will be on top of this too, but any of you, does the province have any setback regulations for battery energy storage systems? I haven't been able to find anything.
No,
I mean,
because it's so new.
It's so new. We have such things for wind energy projects. I think it's half a kilometer. So we're kind of in a guinea pig situation here where the province has kind of said, yeah, we want 1,500 megawatts, I think it is, of battery electric storage. But there's no regs or even guidelines around it. So this is a tough one.
And it was worded as such.
Yeah.
Because I read that whole, that RFP, the RFI, then the RFP, then the Onega proposal, and all of the, or NEDA proposal, however that's pronounced. And it is challenging because this is such new technology. They really, I don't believe, have addressed it with that. I mean, it's got an awful lot of explosive nature to it and what have you. So I'm sure it really doesn't, meet any of the current statutes or municipality bylaws, right? Yeah. I must admit, in reading up on this a little bit, the alternate was to go, they talked about SMRs, which were, amen, exactly. I'd rather some nuclear device sitting beside my house. Thank you. Perfect. So we just want to be informed and work with the council. That's the big thing. And I'll endeavor to try and find that out. I have some connections still that I can try and resource on that to find out because the companies that I work for would be associated with this at some point in time.
Or from other jurisdictions, Michael.
Exactly.
I mean, these things exist in the States. So maybe
they're going in Ontario, they're going in BC, and they're going in very, very large format. And they're also going in very remote format. So that's, and I appreciate the fact that whomever it is, Project Co, they're wanting to tap into the existing 250 kVA lines. And that is a good spot because that's, it affords them an awful lot of savings, to be honest with you. But what it does is you're putting it in the middle of the Salmon River watershed. There's all kinds and I'm not going to get into the weeds. I promised I wouldn't and I won't. But I think there's likely, and I'm trying to find, so that we can propose something, rather than say, no. That we don't believe is necessarily proactive. We would rather say, maybe look here, maybe look there, and try and work through. I still think it's something that can happen, but I just don't think that it's necessarily great in an ecosystem protected area, farming area, watershed area, wickedly vulnerable water table, and with Stone Mills being 100% on well, it's one of our most precious commodities. So we have to be very careful of it. So, but I will look and find out, try and find out for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Could I get a motion to receive the delegation, please? Sherry and Doug, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're all just going to leave. If you just give us a second, we won't disrupt. Just close the door on your way out.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, everybody, once again.
And Michael, will you be our point of contact for the group then? Okay, that's great. Thanks very much. Thanks for coming.
And if there's ever any questions, we can help. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. That's right. And
It's kind of tough because the item's already been done before. we approve.
yeah, I know. Good night. Okay, it's a little peculiar because we've already had the delegation, but we need to approve the agenda as amended, the amendment being the delegation. Sherry and Crystal Lee, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Any conflicts of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? None declared. The minutes of the March 6, 2023 Stone Mills regular council meeting. Can I get a motion to approve? Doug and Rob, any discussion arising from those minutes? All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. There are no other delegations or deputations, nor bylaws, nor financial accounts, staff reports, Township of Stone Mills accounts payable. Christina.
Okay, so the report you have in front of you tonight is for the February 2023, and I don't have anything of note at this point.
Any questions or comments?
So this is coming from our current procurement that we have with the Canoe procurement group, which allows us to take advantage of some of the discounts and the possible savings, because there's a large quantity of people or municipalities that are purchasing specific items such as cell phones, or sometimes you can get copiers or tandem trucks, etc. To continue to belong to that group and continue to post our notice of intent so that those businesses that would normally go out for RFP that might already have the RFP done with Canoe are aware that that's where we can purchase from.
Questions or comments? Brian, go ahead.
So, Your Worship, this evening's purpose of this motion is not just for a single source group procurement, but it's to ensure that the mentality procurement is something that's adopted by all of council. That is one company that's used,
Yes.
but there are other situations where we can take advantage of group procurement. Something as simple as the county and other municipalities doing group purchasing, there is an opportunity for group procurement. So it's not just a single company.
Yeah.
Anyone else? All in favor? That's carried. And Manager of Public Works and Emergency Services Thompson. You were being an emergency services person last meeting, so we did discuss this to some extent, but we decided it would be better if you were here, Jeff. So this is in regard to the Turcotte Road, and the motion would be that council receive this report and that council approve and direct staff to complete the legal road transfer of Turcotte Road to the township. Moved by Sherry, second by Rob.
Thank you, Revise. I apologize for not being here last meeting.
Nothing to do about it.
I have no additions to the report, but I'm open to any questions that people may have that you didn't get past the last time.
Questions for Jeff? Yes, Doug.
Yeah, Jeff, I'm looking at the map and I understand, sorry. I'm looking at the map and I understand that we have done maintenance on this since amalgamation. That Sheffield did maintenance prior to that into this one's in for a little ways into it. So my question really is going on to the rest of it. Is this, do we really know that this is a road or beyond where the home is? Or is it just a trail across somebody's farmland? Okay, it's, to be quite honest with you.
Through you, Revise, yes, we've maintained that section prior to amalgamation, plus into amalgamation, Tweed Township has done the maintenance on it. we have several roads throughout the municipality that may not be surveyed out. If you recall, when we did the Blue Earth stuff on Ratty Road, Haggerty Road, all those roads were not surveyed out as municipal road allowances. It was the forest road. So they actually paid and had the survey done and deeded back to the municipality. Most recent, I think we had Thompson Hill, we've had County Road. So there's hundreds of locations in the municipality that are not surveyed on title. They're just a forest road. This would be one of them. So the applicant will pay for the survey, get it on title. It'll go back into our ownership and things will be clean going forward.
Further comments or
Yeah,
questions?
well, yeah, I'm just uncomfortable with it because to me, it looks like it's just a trail. I mean, forest roads, for example, there's one right north of the village here that goes around the hill. Okay, forest roads usually deviated from the surveyed lines because of a large rock or a hill or something, and they went around it. This one here, it seems to be a trail to nowhere, and we don't need to be picking up roads that go to nowhere, to be quite honest with you. But anyways, that's fine.
A forest road is anything you've maintained.
Yeah.
And we have maintained this for
In
as long as
far
I've been
it's
around.
green. In as far as it's green, but
No,
not the.
that's
red
correct.
portion.
That's correct.
Yep. So
And-
I'm right now, I'm concerned with the red portion.
Oh,
Yep.
go ahead, Carrie.
Through your
Yeah,
Wise,
go ahead, Jason.
if I may. Deputy Reeve Wise, just to clarify that, the reason that they're different colors on the map is we plan to have, at the expense of the applicant, of course, we plan to have this parted out as a two-part plan, green and red as different parts, so that at time of bylaw adoption, we can register the deeded public highway as green only and not red. So red would remain entirely private. There's a gate in that location currently, and that's not the lands in which we've expelled public dollars. So we do not foresee and we do not propose to recognize that through bylaw.
Thank you.
And just further to that, that gate was brought to council in 2007 by the property owners and approved by council to gate that road allowance to permit only the landowners beyond that to have access.
Okay, and anyone else? Yes, go ahead, Rob.
In regards to this, I am aware that we basically have two choices from the sound of this. One is we benefit from the fact that we get a survey paid for by the property owner. We clean this up. We're maintaining a road that we're already maintaining in agreement with another township. So there's no new cost from what I'm gathering here to the ratepayer. So we benefit and benefit and benefit. The alternative is we say no, the landowner who owns the road will dig it up and create a berm. And he has stated so he will do so and would have the right to do so. And then those beyond that will become landlocked, is what I'm gathering. It doesn't seem to make any sense to do anything other than just clean it up and move on. That's just my opinion.
Anyone else?
Through you, we
Yes, go
rise.
ahead.
We only have the one option and that's what's proposed legally.
Right, yeah.
We've maintained it. We put funds into
We're
that
obliged.
green section.
Yeah.
Green section.
That's legally, that's what we have to do
Okay.
at no cost.
Any further discussion? All in favor then? That is carried. Thank you. Chief Building Official Detler, Doyle Farm Tree Planting. Motion being that council receive the report entitled Opportunity to Plant Trees at Doyle Farm Property, and the council authorized staff to work with a selected tree planting contractor to plant trees at the approved areas of the property. Can I get a mover? There's Krista Lee and Sherry. Jake?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. We had an opportunity, Mr. Steve Pitt, who we've worked for in the past and who has previously visited this property, reached out to us a few weeks ago and said, I realize that council funds are quite tight this year, as all municipalities are dealing with a tight budget. But he just informed us that Forests Ontario had raised their subsidies to the point where you could plant a significant amount of trees for free. And he was just asking if we would still be interested in doing something like that. And this is what staff has come up with. It's kind of lands out of the way of anything else and far away from the road and Doyle Road. And I think it's a good opportunity for a green initiative that would cost nothing. Open to answer any questions on that.
Questions for Jake? Go ahead.
Jake, is any of the proposed property being utilized now for hay production?
Through Reeve Wise, those blue portions on the map were all cut. We're all cut for hay over the past, well, since we've owned it.
Anyone else? What kind of soil depth did Steve regard as minimal, as the minimum depth he would want for planting there, Jake?
Yes, Reeve Wise, he was looking for like 16 inches. Generally, every hole we dug had 2 feet, so he was happy.
Right. Yeah. So as long as it rains the first couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you know, as a person in agriculture, a really dry, like 2016 summer,
Yeah.
Could really destroy a plantation in the spring. And we were quite lucky in 2020. We planted the Moscow landfill site, and it was a wet spring that spring. And yeah, if you drive by, you can see just the pine trees kind of coming out of the snow there. And it looks like we had very little die off. So anytime you plant trees, you're hoping for a wet spring. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll hope for a wet spring. Well, that's great. All in favor? Yeah, that's carried. Thank you. Committee and board reports and minutes. I don't have anything from Conservation Authority because we haven't had a meeting this month because of March break. Items for information. We have the letter from the IESO on the battery energy storage system, which is couched a little bit in bureaucratese, but it seems to say that we have, how would you, I guess on a scale of 1 to 10 or however you please to express it, Jason, how much control or how much say would a municipality have when it comes to approving a BESS installation based on the information in that letter?
Thanks, Reeve Wise. I'm not going to use the scale, but my response would be we're very much in control. Not only to the IESO support with respect to their contract administration, but subsequent to that, they've provided confirmation that we have land use planning controls at our disposal, specifically zoning amendment and site plan control approval, which is very, I think, strong in the sense that should IESO support a project, should council not support a project, but then IESO support a project and then expect the municipality to successfully rezone or approve a site plan control application, it would cause concern and issue. So I think that's one of the, again, reading between the lines of this email, positions that IESO has taken in the fact that if municipalities are not willing to support in principle the project, then any change to local land use authority would not be then subsequently approved.
Thank you. I think, Wendy, you wanted it noted that despite what Blue Earth's website might imply, and despite what the misinterpretation of Jason's query to IESO might be interpreted as suggesting, there has been no public meeting. Did you want to sort of make a motion to indicate that, or Brian, how do you think that should be expressed, just so that the municipality is on record of not recognizing any public meeting having been called?
Your Worship, I've taken the liberty of trying to propose something earlier today when I knew this was going to be the request of council. The first part of that motion would entail the council receive the correspondence for information purposes from IESO, and that further the council receive the written submission from the concerned community members pertaining to the affirmation that community engagement has occurred and clarifying that only small meetings with select ratepayers have been held. So it essentially puts on public record that we've received their correspondence and that there's no affirmation or confirmation that a public meeting has actually been had. My recommendation to council is until those requirements are met, that support resolution is crucial to the application. So until we get that or get that confirmation or have comfort that those meetings have insisted, then we essentially have that capability by the form of that support resolution, whether council provides it or not.
Okay. Do you want to make that a motion, Wendy, which includes receiving this correspondence for information so that we have that on the record?
Sure.
Can I get it? Yeah, go ahead.
So a motion is to basically state somewhere what you said. You said they were having small meetings, but could we have could we have it small individual meetings? As what you said, Brian, when you were stating.
Yeah, Councillor McDonald. So it says that community engagement, so basically pertaining the affirmation that community engagement has occurred and clarifying that only small meetings with select ratepayers have been held.
Yes.
And so that's essentially what I believe that they had indicated earlier was that they've had meetings, they've been small meetings, and there's only been select individuals
Yes.
that have been participants in those meetings.
That's my understanding. So that's the motion, correct?
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
first part would be to receive the correspondence from IESO
Yes.
and then receive the written submission from the concerned community members pertaining to the community engagement, clarifying that only small meetings with select ratepayers have been held. So that's essentially receiving their correspondence, confirming what they asked us to acknowledge earlier.
Yes.
As far as making a specific motion to confirm that there's been no public meetings held, we can do so in the fact that this proposal is still not in front of our council. So in the absence of a support resolution or in the absence of a presentation, I think having a resolution stating that hasn't been met is obvious, given that that we still have no application or of what this project entails.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Can I get a seconder for that, Sherry? Any discussion? All in favor? That's Gary. Thank you. Yeah, we don't have to prove a negative in this case. Okay. B, 2023 draft budget changes. The motion being that council receives the second draft of the 2023 budget change for information purposes. Can I get a mover for that? Wendy, seconder by Rob. Brian.
Your Worship, in conversations early last week, we were made aware that the enterprise accessibility project that was planned has been declined as part of the application. In the absence of the county budget being passed and the rates being provided, we could not endorse the budget in full capacity this evening. So granted the time, we have amended the budget to essentially remove the accessibility project from the budget, given that the $100,000 grant application is not available, and therefore that will put the additional $50,000 back into reserves for future project allocation should there be an opportunity.
Questions or comments?
Sorry, Your Worship, there's no impact to the budget. It's strictly grant money anticipated and reserves coming out.
Right. Everyone clear on that? When, so we're just basically waiting for the county before we can do our third and final reading then at this point?
So my understanding is the county is proposing their reading of their bylaw this Wednesday for the county budget. As soon as they have endorsement of their rates, we can finalize our budget process, as we'll then have the tax ratios and rates from the county.
Right. Yes, Rob.
Do we have any information as to what caused the application to be declined?
Jake?
Yes, through your worship, the email that we received from the it was the Enabling Accessibility Fund, essentially gave you the same bureaucratic legalese that you would get, in other correspondence, but generally indicated that there was a large amount of applications and not all applications could be approved. And ours was unfortunately not selected. It should be noted that we've received quite a few positive applications from this same entity over the years. Perhaps, and I mean, just in 2022, kind of executed 3 different government grants. And it could be that, we've had some, maybe too much success over the last few years. I'm not sure, but they just essentially stated that there was a lot of applications to this fund and not all could be selected and ours wasn't. So.
To you, John. Thanks for the effort, Jake. I know you did your very best, and sounds like you had great rates in the past, and you can't get them all, right?
Okay. Did I get a vote on that?
I have a mover.
Oh, we don't have a seconder. Doug, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Jason, you have a notice of a planning meeting. I guess this is ahead of our council meeting on April 3rd. What's that going to be about?
Yeah, thank you, Reeve Weiss. We have 2 active zoning bylaw amendment applications that have been received notice of complete application issued, as well as notice of public meeting circulated in the Napanee Beaver on site and to the neighbors. So the upcoming meeting is for 2 zoning amendment applications, one on County Road 1, just west of the former Quinn's Meats. And the second is in Tamworth on County Road 4, which is north of the Tamworth Fire Station in what we would commonly refer to as the Dave Ways Car Wash location. So there are 2 zoning amendment applications seeking to change the zone from rural to a commercial zone. There's a 5 p.m. start time, on April 3rd. I don't expect that to be an hour-and-a-half meeting, so we will have some food before our 6:30 start. I suspect if we do have the deputations that we expect to have, we may be a bit lengthier in that meeting than we are, for example, in others.
Thanks, Jason. New business and statements from members. Yes, Crystal Lee.
Yes, just let me look at my notes. Okay, so I joined a meeting last week with the Centerville Agricultural Society to help volunteer planning this year's Centerville Fair. And one of the things that came up is that they need a load of gravel in their poultry barn. I guess it's quite an issue in terms of strollers. People have to park them outside and there's a lot of mud. And so they would like to know if the township would be willing to donate a load of gravel to the poultry barn. And I just don't know what that process is or who I ask and how that goes about.
Jeff? I mean, it's up to council if we're going to make the donation. I don't think there should be a problem. Go ahead, Doug.
I
Sorry,
think the
Jeff.
bigger question here really is gravel, is that the right terminology, or is it, because gravel, sometimes it's hard to roll a stroller or something into because it's, the shape of it, or is it something a little finer, like a load of fines or 3/8, or, but that could something that could be found out,
Okay, go ahead, Jeff.
Through you, Reeve Wise. If council's okay with it, I'm okay, doing whatever work. If that person could just contact us and we could do, normally we put gravel in the parking lot, we do stuff with the track. If we had a list, we could do it all at once when we're there. If that's okay with council.
Yeah, I guess we should have a motion. I assume you're making a motion here, Crystal Lee, that council donate. I don't think we're donating a limitless amount of stone to the Agricultural Society, but some reasonable amount, I guess it's hard to quantify it. Can I get a seconder for that motion? Doug? All in favor? That's carried. So yeah, if somehow you can hook up the required parties. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. Anyone else? New business? Yeah, Sherry, go ahead.
I just wanted to let everyone know that on April 5th in Tamworth at the Black Cat from 1 to 3 is a 100th birthday party for resident Rosemary Adams is her name. So any of council or anybody that could attend, that would be wonderful. And I've already asked, the township has done up a certificate to give her. And we've asked for certificates in every level of government, right up even to the king. So she's thrilled that at the possibility of some of them coming in. So if anyone could make it, that would be great.
I just signed that certificate. So that part's done. Pardon me?
Where is it taking place?
The Black Cat Cafe. Yeah. Any other new business? I have a couple of items. Got an email here that was sent to, I guess, to Brian and I. It is from Diane Tallis, I think that's the right pronunciation, who is the Program Director of LNA Seniors Outreach Services. I'm reaching out to you to offer an invitation to attend a meeting here at LNA SOS. Our members live in most of the surrounding communities of Greater Napanee throughout the county. In the meeting, we can discuss our programs and vision for the future. It's our intention to form more solid partnerships that benefit all of our communities and on behalf of older adults. We want more 55-plus-year-old people to choose our communities to live in. We enjoy safe communities and fabulous lifestyle amenities at very affordable prices compared to nearby urban centers. Please send me 2 weekdays of choice and 2 different meeting times, and I'll send out the responses to see if we can narrow down a meeting date and time. Hopefully, we can get together before the end of the month. I look forward to your participation in this discussion. Thank you in advance. I have yet to respond to this in a pile of emails that I've received. Yes, it's March 27th. They've settled on it. Thanks, Brian. I didn't know. So is anyone interested in attending this on behalf of the township? Wendy, I know you've got some experience. I wonder, without stepping on your toes, if someone who has no experience in this area might learn something from it, or it can be more than one person. Do you two want to go? Yeah? Yeah?
I'd be
Okay.
happy to go with Wendy. Yeah.
Okay, great. That sounds good. The 27th, I'm not available. I have several meetings with banks about my mother's estate. Brian, do you want to communicate with Diane to say that Wendy and Krista Lee will attend on the 27th? That's great. I also have something here which came previously, and I had to send it back, and it's one of those peculiar things. This is from the Association of Municipal Managers, Clerks, and Treasurers of Ontario. The Executive Director, David Arbuckle, has written to say that on behalf of the Association of Municipal Managers, Clerks, and Treasurers of Ontario, I'm extremely pleased to announce that Christina Beauchamp has successfully graduated from the Association's Diploma in Municipal Administration. Moreover, she's been inducted into the Academic Honor Roll, which recognizes academic high achievers from AMCTO's diploma programs. We believe that this is a tremendous accomplishment and should be regarded with pride by your municipality. And I do indeed regard it with pride. And the reason I had to send it back, Christina, was because they have some automatic program that went on to fill in someone else's name at the bottom and not yours. So this one has your name throughout. So congratulations and well done. That's all I have. Anyone else? Yes, Doug.
Just an addendum to the SOS program there. They also are putting on meals for seniors once a month, and they're fantastic. They're $15 a person. And I'm not sure of all of their locations, but currently they've been doing it in New York or at the United Church. And there's one coming up April 3rd or something like that, but on a Wednesday. But they are excellent meals, something they put on.
Thanks, Doug. If there's nothing else, I need a confirming bylaw. I need a mover and seconder. Sherry and Wendy, all in favor? That's carried. I need someone to move adjournment. Doug, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much. If you want to put that in some appropriate file, Brian.
I was looking for the name of the program. I have it.
Oh, they can make it.